Peace, peace, peace. Mind Ascension here. Peace to my 6 to 22 strand, 7 to 9 ether, selenium base, eumelanin dominant gods of this planet. I told myself I have to definitely do this video tonight because the last video, which is why we are gods or why we call ourselves gods, I even forgot my own title, but I felt kind of shortened and cut off. So I wanted to make sure that I extended it and went in much more detail, much more deeper. Because the fact of the matter is, y'all, we have to understand that when we refer to ourselves as divine beings, when we refer to ourselves as neters, netaru, all these different aspects of what we want to call God, which of course is of German origin, but that's all irrelevant at the end of the day because we've got to remember, no recessive in existence has claim to anything of substance. We got to get that shit out of our fucking mind. I don't give a fuck what it is. The English language didn't come from them. French didn't come from them. The 5 Latin languages didn't come from them. Nothing in existence of substance came from white people. We have to get that clear. And I mean, Nordic mythology didn't come from white people, okay? Odin, Thor, all of these motherfuckers are based off Ethiopian, Kushite, and different forms of ancient, melanin dominant theologies, ideologies, mythologies that were only whitewashed the same way that we see the same whitewashing going on today. I mean, in the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years, Tupac is going to be a white man, all right? So we need to stop giving these white people credit for anything, and this is why one of the most important things of being a god is understanding source over surface, is understanding that you are all things within one vessel, within one body, possessing one mind, connected to all minds, still going back to the one, and the source, and the center, and the eternal, and the infinite. But I wanted to extend that last video. Unfortunately, our last video kind of got cut off. So I told myself, I said, I owe it to y'all. I'm not going to lie. I was reading y'all comments. I love y'all comments. Please continue to comment. Please continue to share. Once again, my Cash App is Mind Ascension 1. Okay? $ Mind Ascension 1. Please show some love. Please give up a love offering. If anything I have ever taught, spoken, broken down to the last decimal, to the most minute molecule and structure about things that many people, I do not see them breaking things down. I don't see them taking a cliche line, a cliche sentence and repetitive statement and breaking it down to the metaphysical, physical, etymology. You see? So if I've cleared anything up for you, many of you are in my DMs 24/7, and I'm giving you my all. Please, just show some love. You see what I'm saying? I'm not asking for much. You know what I mean? Just show some love because I have attempted to be in other so-called teachers and so-called, internet gurus, IG teachers, and whatever the case is, and I've attempted to ask them questions, and they just ignore you. They ignore me, they don't say anything, or they come with some extreme egotistical derogatory aspect of acting as if you are not worthy of answers. I've never denied any of y'all answers to any questions you've ever given me, or a form of direction where you can find the answer. So please show some love, show some respect, show some appreciation, because I've been doing this a long time and it's really not easy being Mind Ascension. It's really not easy being Mind Ascension. You know what I'm saying? It's a lonely game. I'm constantly threatened with being erased. My information was erased multiple times. I had to rebuild pages from scratch with information that I do not see a lot of people chiming on. And if you notice, I do not touch on subjects that are of a form of human, emotional, victimized mindset. And that goes into being God as well. But let's jump right into this. Why exactly do I call you a god? Why exactly do I call myself a god? What exactly makes us a god? Now, if y'all remember in the last video, I went into the physical aspects. I went into the biological aspect. I went into the neurological aspect. I went into the melanin aspect, which is an intelligent particle, okay? Which is a cosmic intelligent particle, a polymer, which means it's at all places. As a matter of fact, let's get this straight. Melanin alone is the very essence of what we want to refer to as a god, because melanin is what they refer to as a polyword, which means it's at all places at all times. Okay, number one. Melanin is also intelligence, which means it communicates with your body and with itself. Okay, melanin also has an origin that cannot have a time or an age on it, which means it's infinite. So if we really want to shut this whole video down in 1 second, we could just talk about the fact that the eumelanin that you possess is directly from cosmic origin and is an omniversal infinite particle within itself that communicates 24/7 with all things in existence. But we're not going to make it that easy. So I went into the fact that your bone structure is highly superior to anybody else. I went into the fact that your blood holds 76 trillion years of history and information within your 6 to 22 strand DNA. I went into the fact that you have a larger middle brain. I went into the fact that your left and your right hemisphere of your brain communicates better than any other race. I went into the fact that you possess neuromelanin, more abundant than any other race, because neuromelanin is in all of your brain cells and all of that, but the difference is you possess a dominant in abundance than any other race. Also, of course, we all have a more prominent pineal gland. Our pineal gland is not calcified. Now, it can become calcified, and many of us are calcified in our pineal gland due to our imitation of European living, diet, so on and so forth. But if we are in our natural state, our pineal gland is working at its highest efficient level. Once again, the pineal gland by ancient terms was called what? The seat of the soul. God. All right? So those are all the physical aspects. Now, to the mundane and to the religious mindset that seems to hear the term black man is God, black woman is God, and automatically take it as some type of egotistical level of, self-arrogance imposed on us while imposed on other people as being inferior. Number one, I have already gone into the different aspects physically that make you superior to others. But one thing I do want to go into is the fact that superiority automatically comes with servitude and humility. Now, understand there's a difference between a king and a god. Now, a king deals with the fact of the title of royalty, which deals with the fact of a socialism superiority to others. So therefore, that king can be associated with a level of arrogance. That king could be associated with a level of egotistical perspective and egotistical mindset within that social standard of whatever kingdom, empire, or environment, modern or ancient, that they're in. Why? Because the king has to be crowned. The king's title is dictated by his royal bloodline. The king is usually the one that's draped in more symbolic aspects of higher authority or symbolic aspects of superiority, in order to differentiate him from the average or noble or peasant or common villager, resident, whatever you want to call it. Now, absolutely 100%. When you call yourself a king, this is why it's very important that I created the acronym KING, meaning knowledge, understanding, noble guidance, because I did not want to use the word king within the definition and within the energy and title that has already been given by the connotations been attached to it over the centuries and millenniums that we have heard this word and seen this word being used. So I wanted to make sure that we understood that when we use the word king, we're using the word king in reference to us obtaining a level of source knowledge, having an understanding of that source knowledge, becoming noble within our actions and our mindsets, and having the ability to guide with all of those things put together. So to differentiate us from what we know socially and ignorantly as what a king is supposed to be. Now, a god is a completely another level. King and god is not even close, because we have to understand that what makes you a god is not only your physical abilities and attributes, but what makes you a god is that instead of utilizing judgment over others, you utilize observation. You see things for what they actually are within their purpose, within their functions, and within their nature, not within your personal preference or your social standards of what it is. I'll give y'all a perfect example. Y'all will hear Mind Ascension talk a lot of shit about faggotry, dykeism, transmutilation, and all this other sick shit that has its origins within the recessive genetic that we refer to as the European or white people. But understand, I do not hate a homosexual. Understand, I do not judge a homosexual. I just understand the glandular dysfunction that this behavior derives from. Now, that's a scientific observation. Also, I want you to understand that the reason why we speak, not only culturally, but also for myself personally, from an observation that is, for lack of a better word, against the homosexual nature or the homosexual behavior and dysfunction, is because it goes against the 7 universal laws. Not because it's wrong, not because it has anything to do with your damn anus. Please, brothers and sisters, get the fuck over that dumb shit. Your anus ain't got shit to do with whether you gay or straight. Just like holding hands ain't got shit to do with it, because a faggot can hold hands with a man and be a faggot without even doing anything to his ass or doing anything with a penis. Let's grow the fuck up and let's look at this as divine scientists. Because at the end of the day, what makes homosexuality, quote unquote, for lack of a better word, wrong, or better yet, low in energy and in existence, is the fact that it goes against 2 of the 7 laws of the omniverse, or the laws of Jehudi, which is polarity and gender. These laws exist on all levels that's beyond the human body, so it has nothing to do with homosexuality, because the energy in your cells alone come from a form of heterosexual union. Because one cell spins counterclockwise, another cell spins clockwise, and this is what creates a generation of energy within your cells out of a form of friction and a form of respiratory aspect that comes from the oxygen and the breath that comes from your blood and when you breathe in through your lungs. Everything in existence has a polarity. That's heterosexuality. Okay? So it's not that the homosexual is bad. It's not that the homosexual is wrong or evil, or because a man sticks it in a butt. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with the fact that 2 men are not the polarity of each other. It has to do with the fact that 2 men are not within the law of gender. This is why, if you notice, they have to imitate the opposite of each other to create a falsified energy of complementary or polarized aspect. You have to have a flame on, super feminine faggot, and then you have to have a down low masculine faggot. And those 2 are the ones that stay together in a relationship based on polarity and the complement of a falsified energy of them imitating an aspect of energy of themselves. This is the problem. Not whether they're using their butthole, not where they're sticking their penis. That has nothing to do with it. That's a lowly human judgment. So I say all of that to say, one of the first aspects of being a god is utilizing observation over judgment, and then utilize intelligence and source knowledge to come to a conclusion based on that observation. This is what makes me a god. And this is what makes any of you a god that's not dealing in that mindset of judgment and religious aspect of thinking. Saying that homosexuality is wrong based on the fact the Bible told you so. Or based on the fact that, using your butthole is wrong or some shit like that. That's all socialism, egotistical, human bullshit. And the first step to being a god is slicing away each layer of your humanity. This does not mean we throw babies out the window. This does not mean we kick old ladies down the stairs. This does not mean we don't have a level of compassion within our existence. But this means that we recognize everything as cycles, frequencies, reflections, and polarities, and degrees of energy from higher to lower, from lower to higher. That's it. That's the God mind. So anybody combined with the physical aspect of melanin and the metaphysical or the mental aspect of recognizing the universal laws in all things is a god automatically. So you can have black people who only possess the physical aspect of maybe a working pineal gland, eumelanin-based skin, selenium-based body and chemical, but they do not possess the mental aspect of utilizing observation over judgment, utilizing intelligence over belief, and utilizing source knowledge over socialism. They're not a God per se. They're a God physically. They're a God by the science and a biological, neurological, anatomical perspective, but they are not complete within their God shit because the mental is not there. So, being a God is not only just about being a black person. It's not only just about eumelanin content. It's not only just about your 9 ether follicle, which, by the way, let's get into that real quick. Number one, pay attention to the fact that your physical structure as a eumelanin dominant being who possesses the 7 to 9 ether crown is the only human race on the planet that has the potential and a capability of creating electricity from your body alone just from your hair. Where's the proof in this? Comb your hair with a wooden brush. Comb your hair with a metal pick. Comb your hair and see you don't create static electricity with your 9 ether follicle. White people don't do that. You will actually, mothers, black mothers, I know some of y'all have experience. There have been times where you picking your little nappy head child's hair and you'll even hear sparks. You'll hear sparks. That's not the naps breaking. That's the static electricity that's being generated from the 9 ether follicle. God. Because, by the way, the electron is the form of God particle to a level and extent. Because everything in the physical perspective of matter emanates from the electron. That's a whole nother subject. So, your 9 ether follicle emanates a form of elasticity combined with electricity. You are a walking sun, a walking conductor, and a walking battery. God. Understand, God is a multiplicity of things, not one thing. Once again, I'm still in the physical of what makes you God. Eumelanin, neuron melanin, neuromelanin, 9 ether follicle, possessing the electricity aspect and elasticity aspect. Your density, your biology, your blood. The fact that you are a timeless being and people who seem to age 10 times slower than anybody, despite the fact that you are poisoned on a daily basis, despite the fact that you are eating trash, breathing trash, drinking trash, and your ass still live longer. Your ass still looks young. Just imagine if you was in the right environment. Just imagine if you were putting the right things in your body since your day of birth. Who knows where you would be or what you would be. Now I want to move on from the physical. A God is a being who recognizes, adheres, respects the 7 omniversal laws of the omniverse, as well as the organisms within nature and the patterns and reflections that nature projects and expresses itself in. A God recognizes every element within existence as a living thing. The flame is my companion. Because the flame is a living thing. It's an element that is intelligence, and the element that moves, that dances, that breathes. Because guess what? Can't have fire without oxygen. Water is a living thing. Water holds memory. Water holds the element of reflection. Water gives and water takes from your ass. Yes, it does. This is why water is the element, this is why water represents the feminine. Because water is not just a nurturer and a giver. Water will take from you. If you drink the wrong water, it will take from you. It won't give you anything. Water is absorbent. It absorbs your emotions. It absorbs your intentions. It absorbs its environments like a woman. Water is multi-directional. It has multiple different phases of itself, from vapor to solid to liquid. Fire is one directional. Now, we could go into all the different things, whether we want to talk about maybe lava or plasma or electricity, which some people denote as forms of fire, but we only know one fire. And I can't take this flame and turn it into a whole bunch of shit right here in this house. But I tell you what, I could take a glass of water, turn it into ice, or I could take a glass of water and turn it into vapor. And I could do that right now. So that's what I mean, multidirectional. Just like the feminine is multidirectional. We understand that the earth itself is a living being. The great-grandmother. We understand that the earth carries a resonance, carries a frequency. We understand that the earth actually changes organisms to fit the environment and cycles of existence that it goes through at this time. No different from a woman. Because ladies, if you notice, your body changes all the time. And I don't just mean from your diet. Sometimes you have a time when you got some big titties, ladies. Then next thing you know, them titties ain't that big no more. Then next thing you know, your butt gets bigger. Then next thing you know, your butt gets smaller. Then next thing you know, your body gets bigger. Then next thing you know, you get slimmer. You see, your body is always changing, ladies. Just like the earth is always accommodating the units of consciousness called people within this realm and within this planet, in this plane of existence. The earth is abundance. Ladies, you are abundance. This is why the man must hold back, but yet the woman can drown in her abundance of sexuality, her abundance of expression, her abundance of emotion. But see, man must hold his life force. He must hold his seed. He must conserve himself. He must conserve his emotions. Because man is not abundance, per se. And I mean in the physical. Gods understand this. This is why if you notice, you don't have to learn to be a god. Being a god is just being. Look at a child. When you're walking with your child, look at how your child looks at everything in nature and everything in this environment. Your child picks up the bug and go, "Hey, how you doing, Mr. Bug? Oh, you having a..." Your child can even tell the gender of the organism it's talking to. Ain't that... Hello? Study your children and stop treating your children like Europeans and stifling their divinity and telling them they sound silly, telling them that there's no spirit there or they don't have no imaginary friend. Stop stifling your children, because your children is the direct connection and the direct symbolism of God. Your children will talk to a leaf. "How you doing, Mr. Leaf?" "Oh, I'm sorry, Mrs. Leaf." That leaf is alive. If you notice, your children talk to everything. But you didn't teach them to do that. They do that on their own. It's innate within their spirit and their nature to talk to organisms. But pay close attention, because if you notice, your children don't really talk to synthetic things. They talk to living things. Now they play with synthetic things and they project life into synthetic things, but they'll walk upon a tree and they'll feel that the tree is a woman or is a feminine. God recognizes all things as living entities and spirits. You can't claim to be a god and don't believe in occultism. You can't claim to be a god and don't believe in magic. You can't claim to be a god and don't believe in the spirit realm. You can't claim to be a god and not understand that every organism holds a resonance to it. And every organism reacts to your emotion and to your intentions that's projected upon that organism. You're not a god. If you thinking like a fucking soulless white person, talking about that's not real, this is real, that's fake, this is real, that's not true, that you ain't no god, because you're not possessing the mentality of a god. See, when I call y'all gods to live up to a standard of divinity and spirituality. I don't call you a god only based on your blackness. I call you a god in combination of your blackness, of your anatomy, of your biology, and of your spirituality. Not because the shit sounds cool. So if you recognize your ancestors, if you recognize spirits among you, if you recognize the 4 elements or the 4 plus elements as real things that can be manipulated, God, because when you do a ritual, when you do forms of spells, when you do forms of magic, what are you doing? You are taking the 4 plus elements, utilizing them together and manipulating them into a conjuring, into a manifestation, into a creation. You are divine. Now, also, let's get to this notion of egotistical and superiority complex. That's a human talking. Because guess what? Me being a god holds me to a standard of being able to touch every level of existence. I can talk to a roach as a god, and I can talk to the highest emperor or king of a nation as a god and present myself as a peasant. Understand, when you read certain mythologies, when you read certain religious aspects in books and stories of prophets and so on and so forth, the highest men of divinity walked with the people. The highest men of divinity ate less than the people did, gave more to the people. They came in humility because their ego had no dominion over their intelligence and their divinity and their spirituality. That's God. When I can kiss my black woman's feet and know that I'm a god and know that she's superior to me, that's God. Because my ego as a man will never dominate my intelligence and my knowingness of where I come from due to my creatress. When I can tell y'all every day that I'm your servant and I'm here to be utilized by you, that's God. Think about this, y'all. Why does a God need to be worshipped? Why does a God need anything from anywhere or anyone? If I am a divine being, if I'm a primordial chaotic being, if I am the substance, the creation of all things, the center of the omniverse, why the fuck I need a damn veggie burger? Why the fuck I need a goddamn a choir to come and sing for me and worship me my ass? Anytime you come into the realm of gods, or anytime you come into any notion of somebody calling something a god and then telling you what that god needs you to do, whoa. My God needs me to do what? So my God has needs? That sounds like some human shit. A God does not have human aspects of needs. A God does not need you to kiss his ass. That's not a God. That's a human that's being anthropomorphized into a divine falsity. That's not a God. What makes you a God is needing less. Now let me clear this up. Men, what makes you a God is going without, needing less. Women, what makes you a God is everything you need, you create. So I don't want y'all to get this confused, because ladies, you are everything. This is why many times you need everything. And if you understand the things that you need are based in your emotions, and you understand that your emotions is based in what? Energy. Because you don't need like a white person. A white person needs to dominate the earth, needs to commit genocide. A white person will kill everybody before it gives you anything. That's not the needs we're talking about. You need things based on your heart chakra. You need things based on your emotional level of frequency, not on your ego. See, the polarity to the male ego is the feminine vanity. But understand, your beauty and your vanity is part of your nature. It's an expression of the physical creation of matter that comes from your womb in the first place. So basically, as a woman, being needy is no different than a mother needing her children. Because everything in the physical existence that we can see with the eye is of her creation. So technically, she's just saying she needs herself. So don't get it twisted, ladies. Men need nothing. All men need is a woman. Man is incomplete. He's complete when he finds his woman, or his polarities are women. Woman needs man for direction and alignment, but she's already complete as a being. We're complete as beings when we find our polarity within women. Women are complete as beings, but only need man for direction and alignment. Because without that, she's pure fucking chaos. Hello? What are we looking at today? I ain't need no man. I ain't got no man. Look at our children. Look at our communities. This is very obvious. When you had a man in your house, what did your communities look like, ladies? And I'm not talking about a billion years ago. I'm talking about the 70s, 60s, and 50s. When you had a father in your house, what did your community look like? Now that you're independent and don't need no man, what the fuck does your children look like? What does your neighborhood look like? Cut the dumb shit. I need you as my heart, and you need me as your compass, sword, and your shield to keep your creations within alignment, because you're constantly creating. That's the chaos within you, as the primordial being that gives birth to the gods. What makes you God? Lack of ego, intelligence over belief, observation over judgment, recognizing the elemental spirit in all things within nature, the ability to manipulate the elements based on your intentions, your intelligence, to create your own manifestations and conjurings. These are God traits. This is what makes you a God. The ability to humble yourself, the ability to bring yourself to a lower level. I speak to all different people all day. When I'm talking to y'all, I'm talking at one level. When I'm talking to my grandmama, I'm talking at another level. I'm not trying to convince her that Jesus don't exist. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. And I'm not doing that. That's not God. That's not God. I'm recognizing her as who she is, and I'm feeding her bits and pieces when she is open to receive that. I can speak to a bum on the street. I can sit with a bum on the street and have the same level of conversation as I can sit with an emperor or a king or a councilman. That's God. I hear many of you sometimes, I'm not lowering myself. I'm not lowering myself to this. If you can't serve, you can't rule, motherfucker. You hear me, fellas? If you can't get dirty, if you can't get in the dirt, if you can't get on your knees, if you can't crawl, if you too big for that shit, and don't get me wrong, I ain't talking about crawling for this white motherfucker. I'm talking about crawling for your mother. I'm talking about your woman. I'm talking about your children. Which is human shit, by the way, but I'm making a point here. What makes you God is each level you peel away from your humanity, which is your captivity. It's our humanity that put this recessive in rulership. It's our humanity that gave this recessive power due to our participation in their sickness, sustaining their sickness, giving up our woman's mind to them after ours have been taken and destroyed. God, being God, is a state of mind combined with the physical body possessing the cosmic primordial form of melanin. So when I say I'm God, when I say you are God, that's what I mean. For all y'all that's confused, and I think when I say I'm God, you want me to walk on water and turn water, and you want me to walk on water and turn